Hi, my name is Bianca Gabrielle Wilson, and I am a clinical EFT practitioner and artist. If you are new to my channel, this is a different type of video. So, if you have checked out my earlier stuff, you might notice that I primarily focus on doing EFT tapping demonstrations or tutorials for people to use towards things that we might be dealing with in everyday life, challenges, certain situations, life circumstances, world circumstances. And I thought it would be cool and different to do a video that includes tapping, but that isn't a majority of the focus. I really enjoy, obviously, I've been doing tapping for like 7 years now, 8 years. And I love it. I love the people who I work with. It's changed my life. And I also just feel like it's really helpful to connect the importance of this modality with bigger concepts, with bigger things that we're doing, like very tangible things. So for me, in my life and in the people that I work with, they are artists. I'm an artist, creatives, people who are extremely self-aware, very intuitive, empathetic, deep feeling, high achieving, usually hard on themselves. And what I've noticed in my own practice with myself, as well as these people that I'm working with, is the connection and the importance of the nervous system with creativity. And there is like so much going on in the world right now. I'm in Los Angeles, so it's like particularly heavy in this moment. And I feel like being able to create capacity for our creativity is important now more than ever. One, because for ourselves, it just brings us more joy, right? Being able to, I forget what the quote exactly is, but to be able to create something that didn't exist before always makes things a little bit brighter. So we have the kind of more personal, emotional piece to it, the fulfilling piece to it. But there's really tangible things that our creativity is, I think, begging for us. It is calling to us. We are in extremely chaotic times, and creativity and thinking differently, thinking creatively, and also literally creating new things is, I feel, extremely integral to our personal lives and to the collective situation that we're all dealing with. But it creativity brings up a lot for us, and I'm gonna kind of dive into that into this video, is how our nervous system can either help or hurt, and is oftentimes hijacking our creativity, and where what this actually looks like in real time. And I have found that what this primarily looks like in real time is procrastination and avoidance. And like I said, our creativity is so critical now more than ever. There are businesses that want to be created. There are projects that will change the world, that will change our lives. There are hobbies that can heal us. There are creative collaborations that can change the trajectory of our lives and can change the course of someone else's life and what's going on around us. Like, it's so much bigger than a creative block, right? This is something that wants to be put out into the world. This is something that can change our lives and the lives around us. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the connection between the nervous system, creativity, and where EFT tapping, because that's my main modality. I'm not saying it's the only modality, but it's the one that I focus on, and obviously, if you've seen my channel, the one that I am passionate about, and I both teach and practice with myself. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that today. Hopefully you can get something from this. If there's a creative project or idea or hobby or proposal, something in that realm that you are dealing with, that you are finding yourself maybe feeling stuck on, or you're procrastinating. You could be procrastinating on this for a couple hours, for a couple days, or sometimes we're dealing with procrastination for years. And so I just wanted to talk about that, because in a lot of ways, I think procrastination is talked about very intellectually. So I feel like there's what we think is happening when we're procrastinating versus what is actually happening. And I believe that this context can be really helpful when we are dealing with procrastination and we're dealing with feeling stuck over a period of time on something that we really feel passionate about. So when we have creative blocks, I think a lot of us can think it's, a lack of time, not being good enough, not having the right resources, anything along those lines. And I just, I really feel like it's important to say that, yes, some of those things, all those things can be true at once, right? We might be lacking time. We might not have the resources that we think we need. We might be depleted in energy. Those things can be true. And it can also be true that our body is telling us that something doesn't feel safe. So let's say that you are sitting down at your computer, or you're about to open up open up a drawing pad to draw or to paint, or you're opening up a notepad to start writing. Maybe you're writing a book. And before this, you're all excited, or maybe you're at least, looking forward to it. And then you get there, you get to this moment, and suddenly you're frozen. Suddenly you have to go reorganize your closet. Suddenly all the thoughts and the excitement that you had had before is gone. And it could be a lot more subtle than that, right? Like you could have the idea earlier in the day, like, oh, I want to go do this thing. I really want to work on this project. I really want to put time and energy towards this idea. And then somehow you look up in the day and it's time to go to bed, So I'm acknowledging that like life is very real. Things are happening in our everyday life. That's not a joke. And our body also might be telling us that this creative thing that we're wanting to work on or put energy towards and time towards, it doesn't feel safe. And the most important thing, that I talk about a lot in my work and I remind people of all the time and have to remind myself, is that the nervous system's job is to keep you safe. It's not necessarily there to help you create. Your nervous system is there to keep you alive, right? So if creativity feels unsafe for some reason, your nervous system is going to shut down. And again, it doesn't mean that these other things aren't true. It doesn't mean that you aren't tired. It doesn't mean that you don't have a ton of time. Those things can also be true. And it could be that your nervous system's like, whoa, not you opening up that notepad. And that's not safe. We're going to go wash the bathroom for 3 hours. Whatever that looks like for you, but this is a huge reminder that if creativity does not feel safe, your nervous system is going to ring the alarm and figure out literally anything else to do besides this thing that feels dangerous. It's trying to keep you alive. It's not necessarily trying to help you create. So examples of this could look like, again, like blank page paralysis, or it could even look like perfectionism. Procrastination is obviously a huge one, and one that I focus a lot on, procrastination cycles. Like tangibly, it could literally be like you getting to whatever this creative thing is, and then just staring off into space for however long. And yes, sometimes that can be good for brainstorming and channeling and getting ideas, but if it's you staring off into space and nothing is happening because you're in a freeze response, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. If you're in a freeze response, it's your body locking up and stopping you from moving forward in this thing that doesn't feel safe. So think of it like this. If you grew up in an environment, or you are currently in an environment, but I'm going to put a little bit more emphasis on the growing up part, in an environment, in situations, around people where your creativity wasn't honored or didn't feel safe, maybe was seen as frivolous, or maybe you got made fun of, your nervous system takes a snapshot. And this is for anything, not just creativity, but anything that feels stressful, traumatic, overwhelming, it's going to take a snapshot so that it remembers what happened, so that in that situation that scared you, that overwhelmed you, that traumatized you, that stressed you out, doesn't happen again. And this is why EFT tapping, somatic work, nervous system work is so important. It's not just about staying calm. It's about creating space in our bodies, in our nervous system, for those experiences to be processed and to be released. And when they're not, we have a memory, we have a cellular memory. So when something in that realm, it could be exactly that thing or something that reminds us of that thing, pops up, that snapshot shows up, and suddenly our body's like, oh, whoa, no. We already went through this. We're not going through this again, even if the situation is completely different, right? So if you grew up in an environment where you were told that that being creative was frivolous and that it was a waste of time, why then, of course, when you're sitting down now and you're trying to do something creative, finish your creative idea, do a hobby, whatever, why then would you want to go forward? Of course, your body's going to be like protection mode. And I feel like that's so important because it gives us so much more compassion. Because when we don't frame it that way, we can see ourselves as being lazy. We can see ourselves as needing to push through. And when we tell ourselves that, we actually reinforce the concept that creativity is dangerous and hard and that we need to be more, do more, push more in order to do it. And instead, we can start to look at, okay, I'm trying to do this creative thing. I'm trying to get this project out into the world. I'm trying to share these ideas. I'm trying to reach out to this person, and I'm feeling blocked. Traditionally, in the traditional kind of personal development world, I think there's a lot of, action and putting strategy together. And those things are hugely important. We can't only focus on emotions and not have any action behind it. That's so much of the work that I do in my one-on-ones, in my programs, is like, yes, let's absolutely work on the emotional blocks. And we also need to put action into place so that when these emotional blocks clear, we can actually put them into action. Otherwise, they're breakthroughs, and that's it. And they stay as breakthroughs, not as integrated wisdom, integrated action. So when we create the space for these emotions, these kind of like freeze responses, these stress responses to show up, instead of pushing through, we can pause and we can say, what is this trying to tell me? And we don't have to go into a whole, therapy session around it. We can, obviously, that's super helpful, but we can at least in the moment say, oh, okay, that thing's happening. My body doesn't feel quite safe right now. My nervous system is telling me that this creative thing, even if it's not, you don't have to be in a full trauma response. Again, procrastination can be scrolling on social media, can be, like going to cook for 3 hours instead of just writing your blog post. It doesn't have to be, I think, these big emotional blocks. They're sneaky because they're actually not super obvious, right? Like, of course it's good to cook. Of course it's good to go organize. Of course it's good to clean. And is it a thing that is that we actually need to be doing, or is it a reaction? Reaction to our body saying, yo, I don't really feel safe right now. So again, this is a reminder, and if I do another video on this, I'll probably go deeper, but procrastination is protection. Your nervous system is hijacking your creativity because the creativity doesn't feel safe. And so we can give ourselves a lot more compassion, a lot more grace when we're met with a creative block, when we're met with procrastination, instead of being like, something is wrong with me, I'm broken, I'm not motivated enough, I'm not, insert word enough. We can be like, take a breath and be like, yeah, okay, I hear you, body. I see you, nervous system. You don't feel safe right now. And this is where tapping makes such a difference, and why I'm, such a, obviously, proponent of it, because there are things that we can do in the moment that are super supportive, not just for our nervous system, but for our experience with our creativity moving forward. So yes, of course, we want our creativity to feel easy and to feel joyful. And we want that because we want to put our ideas, we want to make our ideas tangible, whether it's for ourselves or because we want to start that business. We want to put that book out there. We want to have that dream collaboration, but we can't do that if we can't even we can't create the space for our bodies to feel safe enough to start, continue, or finish. So the reason why EFT tapping is, I think, so fundamental and so critical for this is because, and if you're new to tapping, you can check out some of my earlier videos. I can go a little bit into, I'll say a little bit, but if you're new to tapping, it is a very simple modality where we're using different points on our body, just a sequence of points on our body tapping with our fingertips to release stress from the body. That's in its most simple, basic way. We're releasing stress from the body by stimulating via tapping various meridian points on our body. So the meridians control our energy, the flow of energy. And as we tap, we let the part of our brain know that controls the fight, flight, or freeze response, the amygdala. We tell our bodies and that part of our brain that we're safe. So when we're confronted with something that doesn't feel safe, and I'm obviously not talking about a situation where like you're actually unsafe, I'm talking about like your blog post that you want to put out, the email that you want to send, that the perceived experience of lack of safety. We're telling our brain as we tap, oh, okay, I actually am safe. In this moment where my body is freezing up or I want to run, I'm actually safe. And we're doing that by releasing the stress that's holding the response in place. The reason why this is so amazing for anything, I'm a little biased, but particularly for when we're dealing with our creativity, is because we're not bypassing the experience. We're not trying to push through the experience of like, I'm feeling a creative block right now. I'm feeling like procrastination. I'm feeling like I want to do anything else besides that. We're acknowledging it when we're tapping, and I'll take us through a quick round. But when we can acknowledge it, we're saying, I see you, and I'm gonna make space so we can do something different. I'm gonna take care of this response, and I'm gonna release it or create space for it to release so that I can take a different action. And the beauty of that is that we are giving ourselves, we are not gaslighting ourselves. And I often feel like when we try to push through something, we are gaslighting ourselves, and we are reinforcing this idea that what we're trying to do creatively is unsafe. Versus when we pause, and if we have the capacity to tap and release the stress, we're telling our bodies and our nervous system, oh, maybe I can have a different experience around this. Maybe just because I'm having this initial reaction doesn't mean that's it. That's the end of the road. Maybe I can have a different reaction so that next time when I do this, it actually feels easier. I don't have to push through. I won't have this sudden urge to go do anything else besides this creative thing. And that's what tapping can provide for us. This is what I do when I'm working with my clients, is we're acknowledging the block for sure. We got to acknowledge the creative block. But from there, from a place where we have more space and we actually feel like, oh, this could be easy, this could be joyful, then we create action from there. Because on top of that, when we come from a place of this is hard and I have to push through, we often create action steps or next steps that might also be hard, because our actions are matching our energy. So if we have the energy of like, this is about to be hard, I gotta push through this, I gotta grind through this, the things that we do next are probably gonna match that energy. And is that really what we want to go into these creative projects, into these ideas, into these businesses? Probably not. And it's not a judgment. I've done it many times over. Many times over. So I'm speaking from client work, but I'm also speaking from personal experience. So that versus what if we created an internal environment of this could be easy, this could be fun, this could be joyful. Then not only do we have actions that follow that energy, so then literally what we do is more joyful and easeful, but then we actually have the experience the experience of our creativity being something that is joyful and easeful. It's not to say that everything is going to be enjoyable around this project or whatever you're working on, but it's to say that we're creating an environment where this is possible, and it's the norm versus the exception. So let's do a quick tap. If you have something that you're working on, bring that to mind. And this is not going to be, an extensive tapping. This is just going to be a demonstration. You can check out some of my other videos for the longer stuff. This is just to show you what it could look like to approach your creative block using tapping. So if you're ready, you can close your eyes. If you're not ready right now, you can pause this and come back. So go ahead and close your eyes. And I want you to bring to mind something creative that you are working on or you're wanting to work on. It could be an idea, it can be a project, it can be a hobby. So just bringing that to mind. And then have it be specific and just choose one thing. I know there's probably like a ton of things you can choose. Just choose the one thing, and it's usually the first thing that comes to mind. So just have that intuitively be it. And then notice in your body where you might feel resistance, constriction, heaviness. So again, I want you to choose a project that you might be struggling with, or an idea that you are feeling blocked around. So don't choose the thing that you're like in flow about. Choose the thing that feels like, I want to, but I can't. And then notice what that resistance or that feeling feels like in your body. So is it a heaviness? Is it a tightness? Notice where it is. Do you feel it in your chest? Do you feel it in your stomach? Just noticing where you feel it. If you're more visual, you can start to picture what this resistance looks like. Maybe there's a color. Maybe there's a shape to it. And if you're having a hard time locating any of this, you can just sense it, or you can say words like, it feels like, it feels like, there's a lot of freedom of how our blocks can show up. So just giving you permission to tune into however it's showing up for you. And then I want you to rate that resistance or this block on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being like, I don't really feel this, 10 being like, this is through the roof. Ideally, you did not choose a thing that's like the most triggering because I'm not working with you one-on-one, and this is not even like a longer video where we're going to dive deeper into it. This really is a light version. So if you need to pause this and go back and change to be like, I accidentally chose the thing that is the most triggering. Let me choose something that's like, I feel stuck on, but it's like more of a 5 versus a 10. So go ahead and rate that resistance. And then let's go ahead and tap. So again, if you're new, just follow along with me, and you can tap on the side of the hand, and you can repeat out loud or in your mind. Just taking a deep breath in and out, and saying, even though a part of me wants to work on this creative idea, and then go ahead and bring to mind or say what the creative idea is. Another part of me feels so much resistance. And I choose to have compassion for myself. And it's valid that I feel this way. And continue tapping on the side of the hand. You can tap on this side or the other side. Meridians run on both sides, so it doesn't matter. Saying, even though A part of me wants to move forward on this creative idea or project and bring to mind what it is that you're wanting to work on. Another part of me feels blocked and resistant. And I feel this and then go ahead and sense, see, or feel that block, that resistance. And I choose to have compassion for myself. And I honor my experience exactly as it is. And last time, tapping on the side of the hand, even though a part of me is dying for this creative idea or project to move forward, to come to life. Another part of me feels blocked and resistant. Take a deep breath. And I can feel this block or this resistance and then just tune into the body, or visually, if you're visualizing it, into that block, that resistance. And I choose to have compassion for myself. And maybe I can be open to allowing this block or this resistance to release. Okay. Go ahead and tap on the top of the head and take a deep breath in here. And as you breathe in, bring to mind this creative project or idea. So just get a general sense of it. If I do another video, we'll go a little bit deeper into the specific thing that's blocking you. But for now, just kind of generally speaking, bring it to mind. And then go ahead and tap on the eyebrow point. And go ahead and say what this creative project or idea is, like this blog post, this chapter, this painting. And then go ahead and tap on the side of the eye. And just remember, as we're tapping, we're telling the brain, the amygdala, right here, right now, even though this thing feels challenging, I'm safe. So as you tap on the side of the eye, imagine, or if you're actually looking at this creative thing around you, go ahead and picture it or look at it. And then notice where you feel that constriction or that block or resistance in the body. Or if you're visualizing it, notice the colors, the shape. And then tapping underneath the eye. And if you're sensing it in your body, I want you to breathe into the area where you feel the constriction or the block or the resistance. Go ahead and send the breath into that area. And then go ahead and tap underneath the nose. And again, just saying this creative idea, this project. Visualize it or physically look at it. Tapping on the chin. I feel this resistance or block in my. And then go ahead and notice, where do you feel it? And breathe into it. And if you aren't feeling it, again, sense it. Say what it looks like. Say what this block looks like. Collarbone. I'm not the only one that feels this way. It's safe for me to honor how I feel. And And then tapping underneath the arm, I like to use my full hand. Again, I just want you to take a deep breath. If you feel this block or constriction in the body, breathe into it. And then go ahead and tap on the thumb cuticle. And saying, even with this remaining feeling of resistance or block, and go ahead and tap on the index finger, cuticle point. Maybe I can start to have a new experience. Tapping on the middle finger, and as you tap on the middle finger, cuticle point, I just want you to take a deep breath and start to ask, how would I like to feel? How do I want to feel when starting or continuing this project or idea? Do I want to feel spacious? Do I want to feel ease? In flow? Excitement? How do you want to feel? And if you need to pause, go ahead and you can just continue tapping and allowing that to come to mind naturally. And then tapping on the ring finger, cuticle point, and saying, maybe I can start to feel that here and now before anything else changes. So as you tap on the ring finger, cuticle point, notice where in your body here and now you can start to either imagine or actually feel what that new experience would feel like. Would it feel like spaciousness in your chest? Would it feel like a buzzing in your body, where you're excited to do this thing? And I want you to just tap here and start to tune in. What would it feel like now to have this new experience with this creative project or idea? Remembering to breathe, take a deep breath into the belly. Tapping on the pinky finger. Maybe that's what I can choose to start focusing on. And then you can go ahead and stop tapping and take a deep breath in and out. And then notice on a scale of 1 to 10, what does that create? What does the block that you started, that you brought to this, the block or the resistance, what was it before, the number before, and then what is it now? So maybe it didn't change, which is totally normal and fine. You might just need to, you would need to tap more. You would need to get more specific around the actual thing that's causing you to feel blocked, like the very specific things. When tapping, when your intensity isn't going down, it's usually because we got to get more specific. But I kept this general and broad on purpose, so don't worry if your number didn't change. If it went up, there's nothing wrong with that either. It means that you are giving space to an emotion that maybe has been suppressed and that just needs, that it's actually starting to release, right? It's kind of like, this is the emotion that's been locked up, and this is the way that we're suppressing it. When we're tapping, we're releasing, we're opening up. And so this emotion might start to get a little bit bigger before it dissipates. And if it went down, it means that you're releasing stress. Either way, it's all great. It's all groovy. It's all information. This is all information. That's why we use the numbers, so that we can actually track what's going on when we're doing our tapping. So you can come back to this, you can repeat it, you can check out some of my other videos. If you're interested in working with me one-on-one, there's more information in the caption. But other than that, I hope this was really helpful. I hope that this gives you, at the very least, context to what's actually happening when you're dealing with a creative block or when you're dealing with procrastination, so you don't continue the cycle of excitement and then procrastination, and then guilt, and then rinse and repeat, right? We want to get to a place where your creativity and you approaching your creative projects, your ideas, your business is feeling easy, that you actually become the person who finishes the project or the idea or whatever it is, because you need that and we need that. The world needs that. So I might do another video, so stay tuned. But again, I hope at least this context was helpful. Hopefully the tapping is helpful. And otherwise, I can't wait to see what you create. I'll see you soon.